Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal trying to get out of the light here. I didn't realize there was that much light. Welcome to our Friday lunchtime broadcast, which is our goal-setting broadcast. And this is just a delight to be able to do this on a weekly basis. For those of you who are new to the broadcast, let me explain how this works. If you're watching on the replay, you're going to notice at the bottom it's going to say from 00 to a given time, news, views, and updates. That's because we always start the broadcast with just some news and views about things. And we're an extended family of people that support one another. So we like to keep up to date, and that is very important to us. And then you're going to see from another time onwards, you're going to see the topic of the day, which today, as usual, because it's Friday lunchtime, will be about taking one more step on our goal setting. So, hi there, Jody. Good to see you. And love the Christmas tree. That's so cute. How do you do that? I'm not good on those little icon things. So emojis, whatever they're called. Not when I'm on doing this, but I'd really love to know so that I can do some next week when I'm at December. And that's the one thing I did want to warn everybody, that there will be no broadcasts next weekend, none at all, not Friday or Sunday, as I will be away and doing December on Friday, Saturday, and I hope some of you will be there with me to help us raise money for Save the Children. And then I will be going back to doing the normal broadcasts the following week. So I am assure you that by this time next week, it'll be pretty chaotic. We'll have a few hours to go before the live broadcast starts. It starts at 3 Pacific time, our time next Friday, and it goes through for a full 24 hours. And yeah, that's going to be that's going to be quite challenging for me. I'm just going to make sure that I do everything I can to do the best I can. It's got a slightly different format to it this year, so I'm not 100% sure how that will work out. And obviously, we're all going to find that out together. All right, so this is the time when I would like to do some thoughts and prayers. I haven't heard anything new on Lauren's sister. Jody, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've heard an update on Louise. So I guess everything must be good. She went home, we know that, and she was a bit disoriented going home. She had a few moments, and so we just wish her all the best and send our thoughts and prayers to her. Yeah, Jody's just confirming as well that we haven't heard anything new. Jody, I continue to hold you in my thoughts and prayers in terms of getting you some wheels that you can go to your appointments with, and it will come in its own good time, I guess. I haven't heard any updates from Erin this week that I know of, but she will probably update me during the weekend. She normally does that. All right, so is there anybody else that we need thoughts and prayers for? I am not sure. Oh, the next thing we need to do, and I need to fire up my tablet to do that for you, is our countdown. Why didn't I think of that before? All right, here we go. Let's see what we can get going here. It's one of my favorite things. All right, so we have got, as you know, just 7 days until December, this time next week. In fact, 7 days, 2 hours, 54 minutes, and 49 seconds, to be exact. We have got just 17 days until spring. No, Christmas. Sorry, 17 days until Christmas. That's getting scary now for a lot of us. But again, I'm a little bit ahead of the game. I think I have one more shopping day to do, and then that's it. And then for those like myself who do not do winter well or look forward to spring, there are only 103 days left until spring. Yay! Which means we're about to start winter. I always find it interesting that I start counting down to spring before winter has started. You probably wonder why. It's just that I just don't do winter very well. It's not one of my favorite things. So, For those of you who are new to the broadcast, one of the things we'd like to just let you know is down here somewhere there's a bell. If you actually click on that bell, it'll let you know whenever we're going to do a live broadcast. And sometimes I do some surprise ones. If you want to know what days and times we do broadcasts on, go to DearMamaSal.com and you'll find a tab there that says our broadcasts, and it'll show you exactly when we do our broadcasts. We do 2 on a Friday and 1 on a Sunday, and they have different topics. The one on Friday is always about goal setting. It's about taking another step forward in our goals. The one on Friday evening is, at the moment, the countdown until Christmas. And we'll be talking about how we're doing with our stress management and everything else in terms of getting ready for Christmas. And then the one on Sunday is always our soul day. And I say our soul day, we try to sort of calm everything down, ready for the start of our new year. New week. It's about to be a new year. Wow. Isn't that scary how quickly this year has gone? In terms of congratulations, I wanted to just say that I think I saw somewhere that Pat got herself a new son. For those of you who don't know, Pat is one of our viewers, and she fosters and adopts an incredible amount of children. And I think I saw somewhere quite recently that she'd adopted a new son. So congratulations to Pat on that one. That's really great to hear. I went, for those of you who are following my health updates, James, thank you, Jody. His name is James. Thank you for remembering that. I couldn't remember it for the life of me. I went and got some blood tests done and found out that I have, I'm somewhere between healthy and diabetic. There's a mid-range, which means I'm not quite in either. So I'm going to be going next week, like it's not a busy enough week. I'm going next week to go and get a blood glucose test done, which takes a bit of time, but so be it. It needs to get done. And then just because I'm allowed to, in the new year, mid-new year, I am going for a CAT scan of my lungs. As some of you may know, I spent my life smoking, and the Canadian government, or health part of it, allows me to have a CAT scan every year, which I think is a very clever idea. You don't have to have it, but if you choose to have it, it's there. And of course, being Canada, it doesn't cost me anything. So that is very exciting to hear, that I can do that and find out. Now, as I've said many times before, and I will continue to say, some people want to know the information and others don't. I am one of those people. I'd rather know what's going on. My sister just wrote to me today and said, no, she'd rather not. So, it's interesting, isn't it, which category you fall into. I'm a great believer that I can deal with what I know I can deal with. And, the main thing is, this is all about life, and life comes with good news and bad news. And that's, neither of them is wrong. It just is what it is. Today, we are going to be talking about taking the next step with our goals. And I wanted to use quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt as my start point. And for those of you who don't know, she actually served, I believe, as the longest serving First Lady in the White House. And she did a lot of incredibly good things in her lifetime. But she's known for some incredibly powerful quotes, and especially for females. And that's why I thought I would use her as the base of our chat today. For those of you who don't know, and Jody, I will give you a time check here just so that we have it, for 9 minutes. Let's make that 10 minutes to round it up. That would be a good idea. Much easier when we round it up, right? So our quotes today are going to come from Eleanor Roosevelt. But I want to just make sure you all know that I am not a therapist and I'm not a doctor and none of those things. So my comments you're going to hear from me today come from me as a human being who has lived a long life. And I think that's called wisdom in some ways. It doesn't mean I have all the right answers. It just means that that's what we are going to do. I wanted to make sure that you all understand that everybody is on their own path, and it's very important. One of the things I love about doing these broadcasts is you never quite know who you're going to help. And it was funny because last weekend we were doing a talk, and one of the things I happened to say during that talk was reach out to somebody you haven't spoken to for a while. And Jody, who is on, who's my admin here, and I thank you for doing that, Jody. She decided to reach out to a friend that she had a run-in with 25 years ago. 25 years ago, the two of them fell out, and Jody told me that, I believe her name is Marcy. Jody told me that the reason they fell out was actually due to something that Jody misunderstood or didn't quite get right. And she could see that 25 years later. And so she decided to reach out to that person, fully knowing that she's only responsible for her behavior. In other words, the fact that she reached out didn't guarantee that Marcy was going to reply or want to reply or even talk to her again. But the magic of Christmas came about, and Marcy did reply, and she and Jody are now back communicating. And I think that is really beautiful. So as I've always said, if what I do on a broadcast helps one person, then it's worth doing the broadcast. And therefore, thank you, Jody, for letting me know that that was worth doing because it helped you and Marcy, and that's always wonderful. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "You must do the things you think you cannot do." And Jody, I was thinking that that probably was something you thought about. You know, I'm not sure if I even want to do this, right? It's embarrassing to me or whatever it is, but you did it anyway. And that shows courage, and it is about overcoming your demon. And, you know, one of the things that we do on these Friday lunchtime broadcasts is really talk about what do I need to overcome to take the next step in my life. Now, you've all got goals, I hope, of some sort. You've all got things that you'd like to get accomplished during your time on this earth. Yeah, Jody is saying, thank you for the suggestion. I needed to get past the fear. Yeah, remember what Jerry Jampolsky said. You know, we've got two emotions, love and fear. And when you really realize those are the only two emotions, and if you're not coming from love, then you're in fear. I want to tell you, I have to remind myself of that a lot. And I'm not a perfect person, and I definitely know about coming from a place of fear. I like this quote, really like this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. And she said, "Happiness is not a goal. It's a byproduct of a life well lived." It's a byproduct of a life well lived. If you live a life that is good in your terms, you will be happy. And when I say good in your terms, not everybody is going to be, the same in terms of how they live their life. But, if you live your life not being jealous of people, just go and do the things you want to do. And by the way, don't live a life of trying to make everybody around you happy, because that guarantees that you will be miserable. Live a life where you are happy. And sometimes that means that you lose a few friends along the way. Sometimes that means that you upset a parent or two. But, the truth is, if you don't live a life where you are happy, you will regret it. And, I don't think there are too many people who in their dying days say, I'm so glad I made everybody else happy. Most people regret that they didn't do the things that they wanted to do. When you read, and I have done that, I don't know if any of you have, but when you read the reports of what do people say on their dying days, it's what they haven't done that they talk about. And this week we said goodbye to George Herbert Walker Bush, and I kept thinking, what an incredible life he lived, and that we all were so grateful for it. And you also, there's part of me today that goes, if ever there was a demonstration of how just one person can make a difference. I don't know if any of you watched the one funeral where, you know, all the past presidents and the past presidents club were busy chit-chatting away, happy as can be. When I say happy, obviously they were sad that President Bush Sr. had passed, but they were all, you know, polite and having jokes to each other. And then and then President Trump arrived, and like the whole atmosphere totally changed. Everybody just sat down and didn't talk anymore. You know, they just all sort of looked ahead or talked out of the side of their mouth, and it was just like, wow. And I thought the most incredible moment, and there were lots, but one of the most incredible moments was watching George Bush Jr. Go across to shake everybody's hand, and that must take, you know, great courage when you're dealing with that level of pain. But actually to have a candy in his hand for Michelle Obama. I don't know if you saw that, but it was so cute. He actually had bought a candy for Michelle Obama. And it's a thing that they do, apparently, the two of them. And, you know, to remember that on the day of your father's funeral, I don't know about you, but that is classy. You know what I mean? That's something. And, you know, I can't remember who it was that wrote to me about this, but somebody wrote to me, you know, about the line that our Prime Minister Mulroney said, you know, about all the ships. You know, there are lots of ships in the world, and there are big ships and small ships, and there are metal ships and wood ships, but there's nothing quite like friendship. And I just thought that was wonderful. So what Eleanor Roosevelt said was, we are afraid to care too much for fear that the other person doesn't care at all. And then that goes back, all right, to you're only responsible for your behavior. If you want to care too much, that's your right? And people keep saying to me, oh, everybody keeps telling me I care too much. And I go, no, you don't. You just care your way. And it's not that you shouldn't care. It's just don't expect other people to care the way that you do. That is the trick. If you want to be happy, don't have the expectation that other people will do things the way you want to. Boy, that's something I always have to really think about hard at this time of the year. And Eleanor also said, and perhaps one of her better known quotes was, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So if you feel less than anybody else, hi, Kimmy, if you feel less than somebody else, that is on you. You did that to yourself. You are comparing yourself with somebody else and deciding that you come up short. You see, what people forget about, and it's very, very true of all of us, that we each have talents. When I say we each have talents, we each have areas in our life that we're gifted in, if you like. And some people are creative and some are not. That doesn't make the other person less than. They're just, creativity isn't their thing. Maybe cooking is, or maybe organizing is, or maybe, hi, is that Andrea? I just seen hi from Germany, and you know, we've got a couple of viewers from Germany, so I just want to make sure I know which one it is. Good to see you. Give me a name if you can. This is my life. And welcome. So, you know, when you think about it, the way that we feel, yeah, it is, Andrea. Okay, and how is baby Lily? For those of you who don't know, Andrea is sitting in Germany, and she had baby Lily this year, and she's just the cutest little bundle of joy. So give her a big hug and a smooch from all of us. I'm just so happy for you. So just make sure you understand this. Nobody can make you feel anything. Only you feel things, right? It's on you. And this is the thing that my big learning, I think, this year, and I keep trying to send this message to people. If it's to do with emotion, it's yours. If it's to do with fact, that's reality. But if it's to do with emotion, it is yours, right? You're doing it to yourself. So whether you feel good or bad, if it's emotional, it's yours. So, I love this. She gave some advice to future campaign wives, and I think this is beautiful. She said, campaign behavior for wives: always be on time, do as little talking as humanly possible, lean back in the parade car so everybody can see the president. How about that? And, you know, I have to say that I give Melania bonus points for just keeping quiet most of the time and letting her husband take the limelight. All right, but how about this one? She said that for it isn't enough to talk of peace, one must believe it. And it isn't enough to believe in it, one must work at it. How many of you want peace in your life? You know, that's one of your goals, is to be at peace with your life. And, you know, it doesn't come easily, does it? We have to actually work at it. So I wondered if any of you want to give me some feedback about what it is that brings unease in your life. And whether you're listening to this on the rebroadcast, you know, just feel free. I was trying to think that in my life, what is bringing me unease this year? You know, I guess it still is trying to get my house ready to sell. I'm nearly there, and to move on to the next phase of my life. I think my health is a little challenging at the moment, but, you know, I'm so grateful for it. And so at peace, to be at peace, I am doing what I can to sort of check the boxes off and see that everything is okay and move on. I also am aware of the fact that my allergies have been really bad this year. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. And I'm not quite sure what that is about, except Jody made the comment, I believe, that maybe it's because I have my new robotic cleaner, Clarence, I call him, and that he is busy, you know, stirring up dust that has been deep in my carpets for quite a long time. And that could be quite true. So, as you can hear, I'm pretty stuffed up, and I've taken my antihistamine. Now then, how about this one? I think this is a great, yeah, Jody's saying for her health issues, of course, Jody's struggling with quite a few of them. Yes, but you're dealing with things as best you can on a daily basis, right? And I think that is the only way that we can do this. Hi, Carrie, good to see you. So Eleanor also said, it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. And I kept thinking about that, how many people I know that are always complaining, and you've probably all know people who do that. You know, they're always stressed out, or they're always complaining, or they're always, you know, going on about one thing and another, instead of saying, you know, if it's dark in my world, let me lighten it up. And I guess the truth of that is that you need to be accountable for your own happiness. So, you know, life can be pretty dark and miserable if you don't make it happier. So again, think about what you do in your life that makes it happier. I know, for example, that Kerry, you know, found Mike this year, and I'm sure that he has brought a lot of light into her life. I was thinking about Jody and Lionel, you know, that they bring a lot of laughter into their life, even though they struggle with all these different challenges that they have. But, they do a wonderful thing. As you know, I always talk about Erin, who, he's basically, she is incapacitated to such a degree and yet has such a wonderful attitude. Kim, I always think about you and your allergies when I have mine. And for some reason, I think about your allergies and I don't feel so bad about mine. Mine just, make me sound a bit strange and my eyes look like I'm crying. But I know that you really struggle with yours. So that in a way, I know that sounds strange, but in a way that lightens my life a little to know, well, hey, it's not as bad as poor Kimmy's dealing with. And, again, one of the quotes that you've heard many times from Eleanor Roosevelt is, a woman is like a tea bag. You just can't tell how strong she is until you put her in hot water. And I wonder how many of you have found that. How many of you have found yourself in a really difficult situation and were surprised at your ability to handle it? That to me is, to me, that's a surprising thing. What I've also noticed, though, and I wondered whether any of you have found this as well, I seem to be able to do it better for others. In other words, when stuff's going wrong for other people, I can be a rock. I'm more of a rock for other people than I am for myself. And I wondered if any of you relate to that I believe in other people's ability to handle things probably better than I believe in my own sometimes. Now, that's just me being totally honest. So I wondered how you guys felt about that. And Kerry's saying the same thing. Yes. So, part of our goal for this week maybe is to just trust ourselves a lot more. That, we can do this. It's not the end of the world here. Whatever it is we're working on, it takes as long as it takes and I can do it. I've got the ability to just hang in here and not overwhelm. That, I think, is one of the most common things that I hear on Dear Mama Sal is people overwhelming. So Andrea from Germany is saying, my goal for next year is to change nothing in my life. I'm completely happy. The only real goal is to get married to my fiance and have a nice wedding day. Wow. That is simplifying your life and focusing on what is important to you. Well done. Well done. You deserve it too, and you know that. I think that's so exciting. Have you set a date yet for the wedding? I think it's so important when we can just simplify our goals. One of the things that I remember talking to Jody about this week was, she was busy overwhelming about how much there was left to do for Christmas. And, the truth is, I just said to her, what have you got on that list that is just overwhelming you? Because the chances are you've got too much on the list for the amount of time, and that's what your body is telling you. Yes, Kerry, as well, right? Kerry's saying, I plan to just be happy next year and living my best life. Yes, let's forget all the fancy goals and everything else. All right, plan to be happy is probably the greatest goal that you can have, and to do what you need to do to be happy. Kerry, I know that you've had some health challenges. How's your strep throat going? You have the antibiotics kicked in yet? They normally take a couple of days to really start taking effect, but I'm hoping that your throat is feeling a little bit better. So Eleanor also said, the giving of love is an education in itself. And Jody, I guess that you demonstrated that to yourself. Yeah, Jody is saying to me, apropos of the overwhelm thing, she said, that the advice I gave her was very good advice. She said, I revised my to-do list accordingly. Yes, and hopefully that you got out of overwhelm because of that. You think you're turning the corner, Kerry. I'm delighted to hear that. Yeah, that's very difficult for you. And, you know, are you starting to be able to talk at all yet? Because that affects your job as well, right? Because your job requires that you can speak. Believe me, I know that one, Kerry. For all my years as a professional speaker, you know, being able to speak was pretty important. You know, Andrea, that you're so right. Andrea is saying it was a hard way to get to this point, to just focus on myself and on what counts most in my life. Our wedding day will be the 24th of May. Thanks, Jody. If you could just make a note of that for us. You know, that's wonderful. You know, and we are so happy for you. And how do Victoria and Michael feel about that? Are they excited? And are they excited about having a baby sister in their life? You can imagine. It was sort of like, wow, I forgot to ask about that. And, you know, whether they, you know, can, obviously, they can feel the difference that your time is now spent a lot more with baby Lily. And, you know, I always think that is a great learning lesson for children, to learn to share their time with their mother. That, you know, they don't get all their time anymore. And I found it really interesting to watch in families how the firstborn gets a lot of attention, and then the secondborn starts getting the attention, and the firstborn has to learn to adapt, which is difficult. Are any of you only children? They're so proud of their little sister and they're helping a lot. That's great. The fact that you can teach them to help, that I think is brilliant, all right, which is what it's all about. And it makes them have worth, and it shows them you trust them. Well done. The purpose of life, Eleanor said, is to live it, to taste it to the utmost, to reach out eagerly without fear for newer and richer experiences. Hi, Marie. All right, the purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experiences. And so I think that a lot, for example, for those that are my age, all right, we start to slow down and not do such fun things anymore. You know, we're sort of happy not doing a whole lot, where what she's saying is keep reaching out, keep experiencing new things. And she also said, and this is really important for those of you who are goal setting, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. You know, if you stop hoping, if you stop having dreams, then part of you stops as well. I don't know if that makes sense. That when you stop having that dream, Jody, I came across something in my mind this week. It was brought back to me, and I wanted to ask you about it, and I forgot. So I guess I can ask you now. Was it you who said to me many years ago that your dream was to go to the beach, but you couldn't get there because of your physical challenges? I'm trying to, I got a feeling it was you. And I was thinking, you know, if that was you, and I know how much you love, yes, okay. So, Jody, let's start working on what would need to happen, because I think you deserve to go there this year. Well, Kerry, I'm glad that you're snuggled under warm clothes under Pat's quilt, right? It's actually your quilt, not Pat's. It's yours. So, Jody, with your permission, I'd like to keep that on our list of things that you work towards for next year. You know, while you still can do it in some way. I know it's difficult to move around and do things. All right? But it's like, what a great goal to achieve. And even if you just go, you know, and watch the shoreline for a while and have a picnic in the car or something, even if you can't get out of the car, but go somehow. And Eleanor also said you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop and look fear in the face. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you stop and look fear in the face. So that's what I'd like you to think about at the moment. What is it that's going on in your life that you're a little fearful of at the moment? And just go, what would my life be like if I didn't fear that? And one of the things I've noticed, and it is quite surprising, as soon as I say to people, you know, I'm having blood tests done and I'm having more blood tests done, everybody's worried. And I go, why are you worried? Well, you know, they must be worried about something if they're doing those blood tests. I said, well, maybe they are, but the good news is that until I hear that I've got something, I really don't have too much to worry about. And even when I heard that I was halfway between healthy and diabetic, I smiled and went, hey, the good news is I'm not diabetic, right? I'm only halfway there. Does that make sense? It's like, yeah, I may need to change my diet and smarten up a bit, but at the moment, as far as I know, you know, a little bit of a diet change and losing 40 pounds would probably fix that. So, you know, to me, this whole business about looking fear in the face is quite important to me at this time. So, I look at it and go, let's get stronger this year at looking that fear in the face, because I think it was good advice from her. Wow, this one I like. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. How about that one? Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. And small minds discuss people. So be aware of that this week, all right? Find out what people are dreaming of. What is their dream? And help them achieve it. That will make you a great friend to people. Spend less time discussing the negative. Again, remember what Linda in the UK says, right? You know, you get 10 minutes to discuss anything negative. After that, I need you to be quiet. She also said, do the things that interest you and do them with all your heart. Do the things that interest you and do them with all your heart. I found it really, and I'll talk more about it this evening when we're doing the Christmas broadcast, but, you know, doing something special for somebody for Christmas this year, I ended up learning a couple of things that I hadn't learned how to do, and I felt so great. I really did feel great because I learned something new, which I didn't think I was going to be able to learn. And yet the interesting thing is that I ended up challenged, right? It wasn't easy to learn. That I've got to say, it wasn't easy to learn. It took me a couple of days to learn how to do what it was I was trying to do. But, when I'd finished it, I'd learned it for life. I always used to say that to young people. Always invest time in your education, whatever it is. Take courses on management, do anything like that, because nobody can take away what you've got in your brain. Well, Alzheimer's can, but you understand, you can lose a job, but you don't lose what's in your brain. So whenever I was working, I always spent time going on training courses, and I didn't wait for the company to pay for them. I wanted to do them because I wanted to learn. And I spent time, reading books on different things because I wanted to know what needed to be done. And I must admit that that really is a great thing to do in your life. And I would challenge you to read something or to do something that is new. And I would not wait until New Year. I would say that, like every year, I don't know if you guys know, but every Christmas, I try to learn how to make something new that I can give to people. And in fact, this year, I learned how to make 2 new things, and that was quite interesting to me. And it isn't about making them perfectly. It's about, can I make them? I did something, I reached out when I was at my doctor's. I didn't realize I was going to have to come back for extra test results. But what I did was I actually took a present for my doctor's receptionist and my doctor. And it was just something small that I'd made. And I was amazed at the reaction that they both had. And I'm laughing because, my doctor has a bit of a sense of humor, and he looked at what I made him and he went, yeah, I see some strange things in here, And then, he proceeded to tell me what he saw, and I went, only you could see that in there. But, once he told me, of course, I couldn't unsee it. So what have you done that's new this week? Right. And that's, again, we get caught into the humdrum of daily life. So learn something new. And I think about Andrea and all that she has to learn again about being a mum and how to help all the children cope with that. And then she's also got a wedding on top of that. Boy, that's a lot of overload if you're not careful. So that requires less is more. All right. That requires that you don't overload yourself for May 24. And the way that I would recommend that is to keep it simple. Really don't try and do too much or invite too many people or do whatever. Just remember, it is for you. It is not for all the other people. I can remember when I was getting married, the first time. I was married twice, but the first time I was getting married, as I was on my way to the ceremony, or just before I left, somebody phoned me and said, I just need to tell you that the caterer hasn't arrived. And who does that? And I said, ask me if I care. And they said, what? And I said, if the only reason that people are coming to my wedding is to eat the food, then I have invited the wrong people. And if I've invited the right people, then if we get to the stage where we're ready for food and there isn't any, just one quick announcement that says, okay, I need 3 people to go and grab us some food somewhere, should fix it. Right? And you just delegate it. And people will do that because people are like that. If you let them know the truth, they will go out of their way to help you. So to me, it wasn't a biggie. And, the interesting thing was, of course, by the time we needed the food, the caterers had arrived and everything was there. And, Eleanor also said, people grow through experience if they meet life honestly and courageously. That is how character is built. I look at my life today, and I think I'm a lot more courageous at dealing with the truth today than I used to be. I don't know about you guys. Are you finding that, whereas before I pretend a lot more? Yes, Andrea is saying that she has a good base around her, who is supporting her if she needs some time out. Also, we will have a small wedding with all the people we love most. Yes, that is the best way to have a wedding. And spend the rest of the year inviting the other people and giving them dinner or something, slowly. Just, you can still include them, but do it in a different way. Right, now then, listen up for this one, people. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you will be criticized anyway. You'll be damned if you do and damned if you don't. I believe at least one of my friends will never forget the fact that I stood up for what I believe to be right to protect her. And she talks about it every time I see her. And I keep saying, why do you keep talking about this? And she said, well, it's my greatest memory of you, that you actually, when the wheels were coming off in my life, that you stood up for what you believed to be right, and you defended me above all else at risk of your own reputation and everything. And I said, but why does that surprise you? And she said, but look at the price you paid for it. And I said, yeah, the price I paid for it was to find out how many people didn't do things because it's the right thing to do. That's what surprised me. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't do things because people expect me to do them. I'm more likely to do things for people when they don't expect me to do them. It's like, if you expect me to do something, why would I do it? It's sort of thing. I get much more joy out of quietly helping somebody if I can, when they don't expect it, because I think there is great joy in that. And at this time of the year, there's always somebody in our life that doesn't have everything they need, and that we can just lighten their load somewhat. I'm busy going to be working through boxes of stuff. Hi, Lizzie. You're probably late. Yeah. No, not probably. But the good news is only an hour. Well, just under, in fact. Lizzie, we've been talking about stuff that actually you would really have appreciated. So you might want to listen to the first half of this later. So beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. How about that one? All right. That when we're young, we attach so much to the fact that we look good. And to me, I think one of the interesting things was when I stopped dyeing my hair. That's when I accepted the fact that I was now a little older. And it was interesting. I was watching Laura Bush still dyes her hair. And I was watching a couple of others, and I thought, gosh, that's interesting. How different I would look if I went back to dyeing my hair. And, I don't think I'd look any better. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather grow my hair. By the way, my hair's a lot more healthy since I stopped doing that. Now then, listen to this one for those of you who are trying to achieve new goals. It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Lizzie, that's Andrea in Germany from the days of way back. This is My Life is Andrea with her new baby, Lily. How about that one? How many of you can feel that is so true, right? It takes as much time to wish as it does to plan. So stop wishing for things and start planning for things. Jody, you can continue to wish to see. Thank you, Jody. Jody's saying she loves my hair. Jody, you can continue to wish to see the ocean again. But if you plan to see it, you will see it. Do you understand the difference? You can keep throwing it out of your brain and saying, yes, but it's too difficult now. I'm too physically challenged to see it. Da, 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 da. I disagree. Or how about you completely cheat and say, oh, well, I can watch it on the internet. No, what about you actually plan? Maybe for Valentine's Day. All right. Your Valentine's gift is that you plan to rent a car and go and have a picnic watching the ocean. Would that be a gift to Lionel as well? That is my question. It always struck me that Lionel must have been quite a romantic to catch you. Therefore, let's start planning something really unusual. And I've got a feeling that Lionel would be only too happy to make that dream come true. So let's stop wishing and start planning. And Lizzie's saying that's one thing I try to do for myself, just to try and do small things instead of wishing for them. Even when I went to Bali, I couldn't afford it, but heck, I went anyway. Yes, and that's what I've also said, Liz. I've said it many, many times. You've heard me say it here time and time again. You can't wish yourself back into good health, mental health or physical health, but you can do something about it. I know that depending on what the diagnosis is of what's happening with my blood sugar, I can wish all I like, but either I'm going to do something about it and correct it if it's possible, if it hasn't gone too far, or else I've got to live with it. And so, to me, the next quote becomes very true, right? I am who I am today because of the choices I made yesterday. Now, for some of you, that is a very positive thing to hear. For some of you, it may even be a negative thing to hear. Do any of you go, yeah, that's true? Yes, Lizzie. The fact you can see that today, Liz, is what it's all about. For those of you watching on the replay, Lizzie's also saying, and you know what? Even with me, I can wish for it to disappear, but it won't either, right? We can't wish things away. We can only do things. I've always said about depression, you cannot wish your way or take pills to get rid of depression. The way you get out of depression is doing things, small, achieving things, getting back out into society, go visit somebody if you are capable, or invite people to visit you. And, Jody, I was thinking with all that's going on with your life that, maybe it's time to not worry so much about the fact that your living room is beginning to look like an emergency ward, but to invite somebody over for a change so that you have, a fresh reality. And don't plan a big fancy meal, just plan something simple. It's amazing that when we start going back to those sort of things. Liz, I am so delighted to hear that you're going back to work tomorrow. Wow. Just half day. Yes, but the fact that you are prepared to do it is amazing. And I'm certain at this time of the year that they really appreciate the fact that you're willing to do that. So, yeah, and Carrie's saying she needs to start shopping for Christmas again, all right, or start making things for Christmas again. What would we accomplish if we knew we could not fail? Liz is saying, I can't stay home anymore. I'm going nuts at home. Yeah, you're right. It's time to start earning money so you can be independent again, right? So what would you accomplish if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do? What thing in your life would you love to accomplish if you knew you couldn't fail at it? I've always, forgive me on this one, but you've always heard me say about doing Dear Mama Sal. I found that if I compare being a YouTuber with all the highly successful YouTubers, I guess people would say that I failed, even though because I haven't made pots and pots of money. But I look at it and I go, wow, I've got nearly 1.25 million views. And together we've helped an awful lot of people. I just don't see failure in that. I don't know about you guys. It's just like, it depends where you want to put your focus. And so when I think about that, I just smile and go, it has been a highly successful venture for the reason why I did it. And I wonder how many of you realize that as well, that, sometimes just changing and getting really in touch with the reason why you did things. So Lizzie's saying that if she couldn't fail, she'd get her degree and stick with her original life goals instead of being afraid to achieve them. Yeah, and what would you get your degree in, Liz? Just so that we know. Jody wants to learn how to play the guitar. That's interesting. Do you have one? I've got to be... Yeah, Kerry would go for a degree. In what, Kerry? Any idea? What is it you'd like to study? No, it's funny because when I think about what does my mind keep telling me I want to do, there's part of me that goes, I want to go and volunteer at a crisis line. And then I keep saying, no, I'm not sure I want that responsibility. It's not about the responsibility of listening to people in trouble. It's about, will I be fit enough to be reliable? And, that to me is really interesting. Yes, I used to play the guitar. I know that's difficult to believe when you see, by the way, I've broken now 3 nails just before Christmas. Can you believe this? But never mind. I'm probably going to have to cut the rest now. But yeah, playing the guitar is not easy, but you know something? It's not easy for anybody. So Jody, think about that. It would actually help you keep your dexterity. You can tell what the word is, right? I think playing the guitar would help your dexterity. It might not be easy, but if you took it for the right reasons and went, okay, and would it help circulation? I don't know. Liz said she went to community college twice, just so everybody knows, so I don't feel as though I failed in myself, as I did graduate. But I did want to study communication, yes, and I think so. You could also try a ukulele. You know something, Lizzie, that's funny, that came into my mind when I was doing that, because it's only got the 4 strings and it's not as heavy for somebody who doesn't have a lot of dexterity. Yeah, and it's fun. You only need about... Hi, Erin. Can we get an update when you're ready? Yes, and I think that's a good point because, and also the chords are very simple on a ukulele. Well, the nice thing about Christmas music is that it is very simple. So how about you maybe put a ukulele on your Christmas list. Yeah. I'm sure you could pick up a secondhand one for next to nothing on eBay. Right? And it's, to me, you've got so much online, you won't have to worry about having lessons or anything, because I'm certain there are 1,001 videos on it online. And so, yeah. And so let's think about that, right? What could we accomplish? Now, what do I need to overcome my fear of failing? I guess I would need to go and talk to people at the crisis line and see whether, whether it's possible to do on a pretty part-time basis. And, will they train me to do it their way, which I probably will fail at, but never mind. And of course, the next quote from Eleanor is that you must do the thing you think you cannot do. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, right. With a new day comes new strength and new thoughts. With a new day comes new strength and new thoughts. Lizzie, you must have found that as well. That's, that really just every day you could tell you were starting to get better because you started to get bored of being sick. When I say that, I've always said to people, whenever I've been ill, I start getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's interesting. Liz is saying that her friend's sister did it while in university. She worked for a crisis line part-time. Okay, fine. Interesting. Thank you, Lizzie. Okay, so Erin's update is there's really nothing to update. I had some blood work done this week as my liver doctor wants to continue to check my numbers. Yes, they've gone up a little. Okay, and you've got a doctor's appointment on Monday to fill your pump. Now, for those of you who don't know, Erin, am I correct that that's a pain management pump, right? I didn't know you were a lefty, Jody. Yes, a little harder to learn, but you're a smart cookie, so I don't have any worries about that. And I bet you there's even a video for left-handed people. Yeah, you see, Lizzie, I think when you deal in reality, you actually are a much stronger person than you think you are. It's, your fear. Have you noticed that, Lizzie? Your fear gets the better of you. When you actually have facts, you do a lot better. That's what I've noticed with you. It's when you don't know that you have the problem. All right. And right, you do a real number on yourself with fear. And so I want you to, yes, you choose to suffer, Lizzie. You choose to suffer, right? It's you do it to yourself. So you think about it. Now, you understand that, Jody, look at this. So many people have it, right? So you understand, Lizzie, that each of us, yes, that's what brought you comfort when you realize the same thing. You see, I could be sitting here worrying myself sick about possible diabetes, but how many people do I know that have got diabetes and living very healthy lives? So, I think, Lizzie, that what I've noticed with you is that you really do yourself in with thinking. You authorize an awful lot of things. And So that is something I would wish for you to work on if you can. It's like, why do you always go to the negative of it? And you probably were trained to. You probably lived in a family where they did that. But as I said, I'm amazed how many people have heard I'm having a CAT scan and going, my God, what's wrong? And I said, I don't think very much. Right? I don't think there is much wrong. I have the chance to have a CAT scan. Why would I not have it? Oh, I'd rather not know. Yeah, okay, well, that's you. I would rather know. And Linda, we just quoted you again, and I want to thank you because, as usual, every time we think about, limiting the amount of negativity in our lives. Lizzie, I want to tell you, I'm so proud of you for taking the steps that you have taken because you fought your way out of the hole again. You see, what I found about this is if you have a tendency for the depression, if you learn how to fight your way out of the hole, and I don't know how many of you have learned how to do this now, the first time you learn how to fight your way out of the hole, it's amazing. The interesting thing is every time after that you want to get out, and that's what you need to realize. Every time you want to get out, you know you can because you've done it before. And so one of the things that I have noticed, there are certain people in the world that don't want to get out. They actually get more attention, they get more traction, whatever it is, by being in depression. Oh, it's an anti-spasm pump. Okay, I got that wrong. Thank you. This is what Erin's telling me. It helps to control the spasms and make it so bad that I'm not so stiff. Okay. It's the only thing that made it possible for me to sit in your chair. That's great. I'm pleased to hear that for you. Cerebral palsy, right. I got that right now. What have you done? No, really, I want to tell you something, Linda. What you've done is you've helped an awful lot of people. Yes, Liz, you're right. The other thing is, what's the worst that can happen? I heard you say that. And what's the worst that can happen? I could have diabetes. Well, okay, I know people that deal with that. What's the worst that could happen from a CAT scan? I could find out I have lung cancer. Why would I even think that, if I don't have to? Why would I go, why would I do that to myself? That's my question. And so, Lizzie, that's where I would wish for you, is to be able to go, yeah, it's possible, but I'm not going to even think about that until they tell me that's what I've got. It's just like I have no wish to think about that right now. I've got other things on my mind that are more important. Because I could drive myself insane with worry. Why would I do that? There is no reason for that. And, this is another quote from Eleanor Roosevelt when she said, friendship with oneself is all important because without it, one cannot be friends with anybody else in the world. They told you not to have a CT scan because of your age. Okay. So what do I not know about CT scans? Okay, so Linda is of the school, I'd rather not know. Okay, so that's awesome. You see, I actually don't fear that I have it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And if I do, it would be a lot of radiation. Okay. And therefore could do more harm to you, Lizzie, than good, right? So do I have reason not to have it, is what I'm asking. Okay, so Linda's saying her Nana told her That if she can get on with herself, she'll get on with anybody. Yeah, that's so true. Isn't that true? So I'm going to do a little bit more research into the CT scan. What I guess the question that I have is, will the radiation exacerbate anything? Make it worse. If you've got something, will having radiation from a CT scan make it worse? Yeah, it's going to be of my lungs. So anyway, I'll do a bit more research and have a look at that. But I'm not going to worry about it, as I said. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "I could not at any age be content to take my place in the corner by the fireside and simply look on." Okay, this one really hits home with me because I feel that's what society wants me to do. Do you know what I mean? I almost have a feeling that, that society looks at me and now I've become the grandmother and basically my job is to sit quietly and not have an opinion anymore. And I'm pretty sure that you all know I still do. Andrea, good night to you there in Germany. Give hugs to the children for me. And to yourself, of course, and your fiance. And Wiedersehen. we really appreciate you being here. Thank you, honey. I hope you'll be there for December, next Friday, my time. I look forward to seeing your name pop up on my screen. So, how about this one? She said, she really said some great things. She said, "I think that somehow we learn who we are and then live with that decision. So if you want to be a better person, be one. Don't wish it or think it, just be one." And I guess I would ask you, what do you think would make you a better person? I keep thinking that, maybe if I learned to keep my mouth shut, I'd be a better person. But I'm not sure that's true. I think more people would like me in some ways, but I'm not sure I'll be a better person for it. If you could calm down, yes, Lizzie, well, that's your choice. When you can see that your stress is caused by you, and you will see this, because you're so close now, Lizzie. All right. When you can see, I do this to myself, I overload myself. My stress is what I create in my head. There are not enough hours in the day. Why? Because I overloaded the day, right? I didn't start early enough. I didn't plan early enough. Therefore, if I want to get rid of the stress, I have to change my goals. That is quite simple. I can remember one time, Lizzie, being so stressed out that I went to a therapist appointment, and the therapist said to me, "I'm going to give you a choice." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "You can either quit your job in the next week, or I can put you in hospital and throw the key away." I said, "You don't understand. I'm single. I have to work to be able to support myself. I don't have family here that I can go and live with." And she said, "Perhaps you're not hearing me. I'm giving you a choice. Either quit your job by this time next week, or I am putting you in hospital and throwing the key away. Either way, You will stop work. I'm just letting you decide which way. How many of you know I didn't want to hear that reality? Yes, it's interesting, Erin. I totally understand that. Erin is saying she wants to know everything about what's going on with her so that she can educate herself and most of all prepare myself. Yeah, I agree. As well as preparing the people she loves. But it's also not something you worry about constantly. Yes, so you and I are on the same page on this one. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so Lizzie's saying her therapist told me she recommended I go on antidepressants, but I told her I'm not depressed. I just want to know what's wrong. And she called you a pessimist. And then you got mad at her. Yeah. That's what's wrong. You're a pessimist. You think the negative on everything. Now listen to Carrie. Carrie says she worries too much sometimes, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Yeah. So it's something, a pessimist is something you can grow out of, Lizzie. You can grow up and grow out of it. We all are a little bit pessimistic, right? I don't think there's anybody on the chat at the moment that's going to tell me they don't have some days where they're pessimistic. By the way, I'm inclined to be more pessimistic when I'm not feeling very well and when I'm not busy with a goal. Linda saying her GP told her regarding looking after Nicholas, her son that is autistic, either learn to let go or I'll have him removed. Yeah. And when he said learn to let go, what was it that he wanted you to let go of? Yes, you see, I think that reality is really good. Let go of the guilt. Yes. I think for a lot of us, Linda, I was talking about this as well this week. The guilt and shame that we have been given in our social lives, is amazing. I had quite a discussion about this recently, and one of the things that I really object to is how much guilt is pushed out of pulpits, where really I don't believe that God is a fearful God. I believe he was a loving and continues to be. Yeah, and Jodie's saying she's working on living in the moment, right? And trying not to worry about every aspect of things in my life and just let things flow naturally. Yes, I want to tell you something. If you work on how do I make today a happy day for Lionel and myself, within the best of my ability, you're going to have a happy life. I just want to get back to my normal life. I don't think I want you back on your normal life, Lizzie. I'd like you back to your new life where you don't worry as much, right? I don't want you to go backwards. I want you to go forwards. Don't go back to your normal life. Please, 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 please. It is your normal life that puts you where you are. Yeah, so think about that. Kerry is going to start Christmas shopping after the chat. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that one this evening, Kerry, but glad to hear. So I'll be interested to hear how you did. Learn from the mistakes of others, Eleanor said. You cannot live long enough to make them all yourself. Yeah. And that's why people talk about the wisdom of the elders, right? Is because they can save you a lot of trouble if you want it, but not everybody does. Life was meant to be lived, and curiosity must be kept alive. One must never, for whatever reason, turn his back on life. Yeah, let's live a little. Let's live a little more. Let's live with a little bit more curiosity, a little bit more challenge, so that we can do stuff. Now, I want to tell you, I reduced my stress about Christmas decoration by not putting half the decorations on the tree. And when I looked at it and I went, it really looks quite pretty as it is. Less is more. Why do I really have to put 648 ornaments on it? Maybe this is the new me, that it is good enough, right? Well, I think that's great, Linda. Linda is saying that she's now got a new GP and they allow Nicholas to sit in a special room and his world is allowed and totally accepted. Wow. So what I hear, Linda, and that is just amazing, is they treat him like a human being, not as a medical oddity. Would that be? I actually want to tell you that I had reason once to sit with an autistic child, and I spent quite a long time with him, and I found that interesting because apparently their concentration level in terms of socializing is not very large necessarily. And I know his mother said to me, I cannot believe that he interacted with you for as long as he did. And I said, well, maybe I understand at a different level. I don't know. Maybe he understands me at a different level. I didn't try and treat him like he was different. I just treated him like a child and just kept asking different questions of him. Right. And for example, he was playing a game and I said, would you like me to play with you? I guess I got him to make a lot of decisions. But I think that is the trick with all children, right? When we treat children in a way that says that they're capable of making decisions, they make them. I find that with Juliana all the time. Whenever I play with Juliana, she, I literally will say to her, what do you want me to do? If she brings coloring stuff and we're going to color, which we do regularly, what do you want me to do, Juliana? Tell me. So I do the right thing. So, to me, this is like when you treat people as intelligent, they actually become that. One thing, she said, life has taught me, if you're interested, you never have to look for new interests. They come to you. When you're genuinely interested in one thing, it will always lead to something else. All right, so do something is what I'm always saying. I found Jody, I've just got to thank you on another level. I just want to read what Linda said here. She said, here's Nicholas with his needs, not a number. He goes to the GPs knowing he is just that, Nicholas. Yes. And he deserves that above all else. And I'm certain you are just so happy to have somebody not say he's a distraction to the other patients or whatever. He just is. There was a guy, I've got to just tell you this, Linda. There was a guy at the doctor's office this week when I was there, and he was busy, far too loud for being in a doctor's office. He also was on his phone and giving out information, including his credit card number or his medical numbers and all sorts of things that I started to get really upset and going, this guy should not be doing this. And then I had to take a deep breath and going, what is it you don't know about this man, Sal? What is it you don't know? Is he in panic in some way because he's trying to get help for himself or his daughter who was with him, well, what is it you don't know? And therefore, why don't you just take a deep breath and pray rather that nobody uses that information in a bad way, because he obviously is stressed to that degree that he's making those calls from a doctor's office. And it was all about medical stuff and trying to get something done medically. And I thought, wow, this is a learning moment for me, not to get aggravated, but to pray for whatever it was that he needed so that he could calm down. And that was a big shift in me. I must admit, I was surprised that I was able to do that, and I did it. Okay, so here we go. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop and look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I have lived through this terror. I can take the next step that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Lizzie, I want to give you a big round of applause, because what you did, in coping with your fear on this issue, this health issue of yours, I think was amazing. And the fact that you feared it, you found out what was wrong, and then you dealt with what is wrong. I am so proud of you. And when you realize that that is the way to do things, the trick is, Lizzie, that when I say the trick is, from my experience, to lessen the time we're in fear. All right? Because if you think about it, how much time did you spend in fear? Because once you found out what the reality was, you could handle it and move on. As Erin so rightly says, once you know what you're dealing with, you can do some more research, you can find out. And by the way, be careful of the research, right? It's just because it says 95% of the people don't make it through here doesn't mean you're not going to make it through. Wow, Lizzie, you are so hard on yourself, really. Okay, here comes the 2x4. Lizzie is saying, I'm not going to lie and say I dealt with it the best. I had my cry and then I researched. I think that's called being human, Lizzie. And then you realized it wasn't so bad after all. Yes. Think of all the things it could have been. Good girl. I'm so proud of you. And what I'm saying is, when each of these things that happen, each of these hurdles that you are given, Lizzie, start working out how much time did I spend in fear, wasting energy, when it really didn't get me anywhere. And I did that to myself. When we're in fear, we do it to ourselves. So there's no point in worrying yourself sick about something that you do not know to be the truth. Now, how's this one for a really great quote? We should all maybe consider putting this up on our mirror. To handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart. Right? To handle yourself, use your head. Right? And to handle others, use your heart. I think that's so true. So pretty. And if we can remember that, as she said, that life is what you make it, always has been and always will be. If we want to make life difficult, we can. If we want to make life hell, we can make it that. If we want to make life joyous, we can. Linda, I love your sense of humor. Life is what you make it. All right? So what are you going to make your life this week? Are you going to make it fun? By the way, I found myself, now, for those of you who are creative, I know I've got a couple of creative people online here. I was busy making some little presents to take down to December with me. And I just, it was really funny because I went, well, I could make them better than they are. And I could hear this voice in my head going, Yeah, and that would take twice as long. And then I could hear this other voice saying, yes, but I want to take that time. Because I would like them to look better than they do. I know I'm capable of doing that. And I want to thank, as I was going to say, I wanted to thank Jody for introducing me to Hallmark movies. Jody, the funniest thing is I have never been somebody that watches them. And what I've discovered is I'm pacing myself with Hallmark movies. You know what I mean? I watch it until I start rolling my eyes and going, I can't believe this. And then I get up and go and do whatever I'm doing with a project. And then I come back and I watch the second half of the movie until it's over. And then I go back and do a bit more of the project. And then I come back and I watch the next one. And you know, after a while, you're going, I was saying to Jody this week, yeah, Snowflake Falls, Evergreen. Yeah, I found, you know, it was just like, I said to Jody, I didn't realize there were that many stray princes running around in Europe, you know, because apparently there are an awful lot of eligible princes that are running around in Europe and in countries, you know, that we've never heard of. And in towns like Snowflake Falls and Evergreen, you know, or, okay, so you'd like a napkin folded. How do you mean, Linda? You want to learn how to do that, or? All right, there's got to be more to that story that I'm not getting. Lizzie's saying, can I ask a question of the PCOS ladies? I think it's quite normal that they do that, actually. Anyway, I'll see what they say. You understand, nobody can force you to do anything. They can recommend, Lizzie. They can recommend things. Now, the fact that you had a negative experience before doesn't mean that you will again. But I totally understand it. Lizzie, I was told that I needed to have a procedure done, and I chose not to have it done. That's my right. It's my body. You want a folded napkin? I just don't understand that. Why? Explain it to me so I understand it. What is it about a folded napkin from me that would be so special, Linda? And Jody, please make a note in case I find out what it is, and then might take me a year, Linda. Are we talking a paper napkin, or are we talking a real napkin? Or have you seen me fold napkins? There's got to be more to this story that I know. By the way, I've packed up all my napkins, Linda. So are you prepared to wait until I unpack? Yeah, Liz, just remember that two things. You get to control what they do and what they don't do. They can recommend. A specialist is there to tell you what they think you should do. But that doesn't mean you have to do it. All right? It might be, they might think you're foolish for not doing it because, you know, of whatever. But you don't have to do it. Let me give you an example, Lizzie. When I have the blood test done and the glucose tolerance, they're undoubtedly going to tell me that I need to lose about 40 pounds and I need to change my diet completely. Now, that's what their recommendation is. But do you understand? I could carry on eating badly and putting on weight and putting my life at risk. That's my right. I don't have to do what they tell me. I'm an adult. And they will undoubtedly think I'm insane if I don't. So, when you can understand, Liz, that you are an adult, then that is different. I see. All right. I think the gift, something, Linda, the way I look at it is the gift I've given you and I will continue to give you are way more fun than napkins. But, if ever I get back to finding napkins, I will definitely give that some thought. Yeah, we need to diet and lose weight, or we need to change our eating plan and lose weight. All right. That's what I'm doing that. But I'm not losing weight. So there's something wrong here. The other thing I know, Lizzie, is that if that's what I need to do, I'm pretty sure in Canada, we can get a dietitian to help us. You may not be able to do that in the States, but in Canada, if we've got a situation that requires, a diet change, I believe that we, can get to a dietitian and learn how to do that, right? So let's do that, Lizzie. We have an incredible health system that allows us to do that for free. So why wouldn't we take it? That's the same way as I feel about the CAT scan. If I can get that for free, why wouldn't I do it? And learn what the benchmark is. I'd like to know that at 71, I don't have lung cancer. I'd like to know that. That's why I'm going. I'm not going to find out that I have got it. I'm going to find out that I haven't. And that to me is, is much more why I want to do it. So now, I think that any of us, I have no idea. I've worked really hard at eating better. And yet I put on another 20 pounds this year. After losing nearly 20 last year, I put on the weight that I lost last year and another 15. So that's really scary. Well, yeah, Linda, bless your heart. Linda's saying, Sal, you've given me my life back. And I'm sorry for being dramatic, but you did. And I'll always thank you for that. Linda, whilst I love to take credit for it because, I have a big ego. Linda, you gave yourself your life back. I didn't give it to you. I sat here and flapped my lips. And somewhere in what I was saying, you decided to do something for yourself. And I will not let you give me credit for that. All right? I will not let you give me credit for that because you bothered to come to the broadcast. You bothered to allow me to hit you with a 2x4 every now and then, but you also allowed us to give you a hug. But I do know above everything that the person who made the changes lives in England. And I just need you to remember that. There are an awful lot of people that we've given, I think, some pretty good advice to over the years, and they have chosen not to do anything. And that's their right. And I don't think less of them for that. I just know that they're not ready. I've always said that the trick about Dear Mama Sal is not that we fix people every day. It is that people know when they're ready where to come back to. All right, so if you are diabetic in the States, you can get a dietitian visit for free of charge. Yes, and the first thing they do is go through your cupboard and throw everything away. And I know where my big problem is, Jody, other than the fact I've got a bag of marshmallows that I apparently am snacking on now. So Erin's saying, I've got the perfect diet for anyone, no carbs and no sugar. I weighed 120 pounds when I came in, and you now weigh 90. There's nothing left of you there. Linda says, I couldn't have done it without your lips flapping in the right place. Oh, the 2x4 hurt, but it worked. Yeah. You see, Linda, that is the whole thing. But you know, how many people have I hit with a 2x4 and they just think I was being cruel? And so to me, I always remember something. You've heard me quote Wayne Dyer many times. One of the things I remember Wayne Dyer saying when he wrote the book, Your Erroneous Zones, that everybody thought was actually Your Erogenous Zones, and that's why it became a bestseller. But he wrote in Your Erroneous Zones that the problem with psychiatry is that they take an awful long time to tell you the truth. You know, and he was a psychiatrist, and he was saying that's what he thinks is wrong with psychiatry. He said, if you just told people the truth, Dr. Phil found that out as well. Did you notice that with Dr. Phil? Dr. Phil doesn't mess around. He believes the best in people. If you watch his system, he believes the best in people, but he doesn't let them get away with BS. And so to me, you go, why would I do that to people? Why would I, you know, if you want to carry on living, you know, the life you're living, that is your right. I don't want to change that. But as long as you can see the truth, I've got a situation where there's a viewer at the moment that I think is being abused in her workplace. But my job is not to change that. My job is just to make sure she knows that there's a possibility this is abusive, and it may be against the law even. So, you know, that's what I will do. Now, will I make friends that way? Not necessarily. But at least that goes back to do what you think is right. It's not that everybody's going to like you for it. Could I lose a viewer because of it? Yeah, possibly. But it won't stop me doing what I believe is right. Eleanor also said, we do not have to become heroes overnight. Just a step at a time, meeting each thing as it comes up, seeing it as not as dreadful as it appears, discovering what we have the strength to stare it down. Discovering we have the strength to stare it down. You see, Lizzie, when you actually take a breath and get your strength, you deal with things a lot better. That's what I've discovered. It's when you go into your child and scare yourself into trauma that you have a problem. You wouldn't worry so much about what others think if you realized how seldom they do. You wouldn't worry about what others think if you realized how seldom they do. Yeah. And I think that's something you learn more and more as you get older, right? It's like, really, I know I'm not going to please everybody with this decision, and I really don't care. You know, it's like, this is my life. I'm going to play it. Yeah, you can scare yourself very well, Lizzie. You're an expert at that. In fact, there's part of me that goes, you could probably write a great seminar on how to scare yourself stupid. But if you can look at it and see how you do it, you can also find the way to stop it. That's where your panic comes from. Yes, most people, if you think about it, anybody with a social anxiety, think about that. Anybody with social anxiety scares themselves stupid. Right? Think about that. And so, yeah, Liz, you are an expert. Absolutely. I did that once. When I wrote The Power of Positive Procrastination, Liz, I wrote a full day seminar on the power of positive procrastination. And I was amazed how many people actually paid money to hear me talk about that. And what I said to them was, the reason I wrote this is I'm really good at procrastination. And I'm pretty sure that everybody in the room is as well. And therefore, what I want you to see is how well it works for you. And they all looked at me and said, they went, what? I said, I want you to see how well your procrastination works for you. Because I am pretty certain that you keep saying to yourself, I should have started this 3 weeks ago. But you never have, so why would you change? And so if you think about it, but Lizzie, medical anxiety is anxiety, all right? I like the fact that you're going to call it medical anxiety. Oh, medical anxiety, fear of the medical side. Okay, got it. Because you never had to deal with it. Yes. So the thing is, you are a knowledge-based person. You have great curiosity. But your problem is when you read the medical stuff, you scare yourself stupid. I'm pretty certain if I read the medical prognosis for Erin with all that she's got, it wouldn't come up very positive. Or what about Jody? Right? So I look at it and I go, but that's letting go of hope. That, the one thing, Lizzie, that I need you to work on is hope. Okay, I've read what the diagnosis is, but I hope I don't have it that badly, so let me move on. You went down the Google hole, and that's where you messed yourself up. Yes. And that's what doctors are having to face at the moment, Lizzie, is how many people are actually Googling themselves sick. All right? Because you will do more damage to your body with your stress level and your anxiety than you will with whatever it is you think you've got. That is my belief. All right, so good. And, we're here to help you with that, Lizzie. All right? Imagine, Lizzie, the number I could do on myself about diabetes. All right, it means I can never have a Mars bar again. Oh, it means I can't have, my peanut butter and honey. It means, and I could do a real number on myself. So, but I it's like it's possible I will have to limit it a bit, but it doesn't mean I can't ever have it again. Jody was saying to me that when she was diagnosed with diabetes, she thought she'd never have pasta again, but that's not true. She is able to have some pasta, but she knows not to have it every day. I would presume that's it. And also not to have, 2 plates full, maybe 2 cups, not 2 plates. And so, that's what it's all about. I'm thinking about, oh gosh, the CAT scan. Could I scare myself stupid of what may come up on a CAT scan? Why would I do that to myself? If I thought I was going to do that to myself, I'd not have the CAT scan. It's just like, why would I intentionally screw up my life? And Lizzie, here's my 2x4. Think about how many times you choose to mess up your life with terror. Because it is a choice. And I know you're learning how not to do it. But do you understand? It's something you do to yourself. It's not something. Yeah, you blamed yourself. You really are really good at beating up on yourself. Hi, Becca. You really do a great number. So, but here's the other thing. One of the things I learned in life, Lizzie, is if you can look at how you do it, you will also have the answers of how not to do it. So, for example, if as soon as you hear that it could be this, you spend the next 5 hours Googling, then it's really dangerous for you to go Googling. But you're still going to Google, right? Because that's reality for you. You're an inquisitive person. You're a creative person. So you get inquisitive. The only thing that you need to change, Lizzie, is how you take in the information that you read. Because you just awfulize everything. If it says, this is what you've got, and 5% of the people, were unable to ever, do X, Y, and Z, you will put yourself in that 5%. Instead of going, yay, only 5%, that's good. Do you get what I'm saying? So the bit that needs to change is not who you are, who is a creative person that likes knowledge, but what you do with information is the difference. I wonder if that makes any sense. How many of you relate to that? Don't change who you are. Who you are is a wonderful person. It's how you process information that causes your anxiety. No, I wonder if that makes sense to anybody. Yes, Linda's GP, general practitioner, said she wouldn't beat up on her because Linda does a good enough job on herself. Yeah. And isn't that true of most people? All right. I think it's true of most people. We beat up on ourselves far better than other people. And so, yeah, Lizzie, so what I'm saying to you is there's just a small component that you need to change. Being who you are is a wonderful person. You are one of the most creative, caring, kind, sensitive people I know, and I wouldn't want that to change at all. It's just what you do with yourself that, you know. I just pray that you will learn not to put yourself into terror on everything, because that's such a sad place to be, and it's so scary. But, you know, I also know that once you can see that anything emotional, you do it to yourself, once you can see that and understand it, then also it helps you change it. Becca's done a good job. Becca, you know, went through a horrible year. But she's taking baby steps to live a happy life again, or maybe a happy life for the first time in a long time. I'm not sure on that one, but you know, it's like we need to retrain our minds. Yeah, and the simple answer to that, Lizzie, is don't always be afraid. All right? Don't always be afraid. That simple. All right? Because you scare yourself stupid. Literally. You know what I'm saying? You actually scare yourself stupid. And that's so cruel. If I did that to myself, you would be so angry with me, Lizzie. Because I know you care about me. And so if I did that to myself, you would be really sad. But, you know, we each have to take this journey. And I'm saying, you know, Becca's been through this and is learning. You're learning. And thank you so much for coming into the broadcast, because, you know, with you telling your truth, it helps other people tell theirs and helps them realize how much they put themselves into terror. And, you know, Lizzie, if we didn't have your story, it wouldn't make as much sense. So I am so grateful that you care to share this and tell your truth. But, you know, if we were rational, we'd also be very boring, Lizzie. I don't want you to be normal, honey. I just want you to be you. I want you to be you, but just leave out the scare yourself stupid at the end. And maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe when you can feel yourself doing it, you go, I refuse to scare myself stupid. And drop me a note and I will work through it with you. You know, just keep saying that. I refuse to scare myself stupid again. It hurts. It takes too long. You know, I waste too much of my life. And exactly. I like who I am. I just want to stop scaring myself stupid. Yeah. And you know, when you realize it's that simple, Lizzie, It will be simple for you. Yeah, well, I don't know about you, Linda, but I really don't want to be normal. Please do not put me in that box. I like being a little bit flawed. I'm a lot flawed in some people's minds, but to me, I'm okay with that. I'm okay that I don't do the best Christmas decorations in the world. It's just like I did some. I'm okay that I'm not the best baker in the world, but I make good shortbread. I'm okay with the fact that I am who I am, and Yes, exactly, Becca. Becca used to want to be normal, but she says, but now in my late 20s, I've come to realize all I want to be is me. And I'd like to think all you really want to be is a happier version of you. Yes, great quote. Thank you, Linda. Diamonds have flaws, and so do I. And they are worth millions, right? Perfection is something we all aim for, but excellent is good enough, people. Please. Yes, Becca, I cannot tell you that if I could give you a Christmas wish for this coming year, it would be that you become a happier version of you. Are those birds on my tree? Yes, they are. There's some red ones. Can you see the red ones? And some white ones. That's a white one. Doves, I think. And then this one is a red one. I'm sorry that the light is behind me. I think I found them in a dollar store one day, and I thought they would look really pretty on my tree. And they do, in my eyes. Now, Lizzie, did I show you the box I was going to decorate? It was a winter cracker box. I was going to show this evening, but in case you're not here this evening, would you like to see what I did? I'm trying to show people that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. You have red birds on your tree as well. Well, there you go, Lizzie. I told you we have a lot in common. Okay, let me go get the box. Hold on a sec. I know, and that's why I know you probably won't be here this evening. That's why I want to make sure I show it to you. So do you remember that it was a cracker box, right? And this is what it looks like now. I don't know if you can see it. So I painted the whole thing black to start with. I know the light is bad here. I painted the whole thing black. And then I put some red on it, let that dry, and then put the gold on it, and then sprinkled some glitter, and it only attached to the gold because the rest of it was dry. Right? What do you think? Pretty box? I thought so. Yeah. So I don't need wrapping paper. I'm just going to put a piece of ribbon around it. Stick something in it, something small. So now the one thing I'm going to do, Lizzie, I'm going to do it this afternoon, is spray it with gloss, because I want to contain the gold stuff so it doesn't, the glitter, so it doesn't drop over everything, which it just did. So I'm just going to put a clear coat over the top of it to contain the the glitter. But, from a cracker box into a beautiful box in one evening. Yeah, the only way you find out, Lizzie, is to try it. You see, and that's the thing I'm trying to tell you, that your mind goes to the negative. Yeah, you see, I I I had started to lose my excitement about Christmas as well. And I realized that a lot of the stress of Christmas I was creating for myself. And what I decided was, what do I like about Christmas? Not what don't I like. I mean, I like I like the fact that Christ was born at Christmas. And I like the fact that I like giving people things. And I just need to let go of the money side of it, because I don't have a lot of money this year. So I'm working smarter, not harder. And really what I found out is it's all about, did you do something? And I'm also trying to make sure that I have plenty of little presents that for people that I might meet. For example, I've started giving presents out to certain people in my everyday life. And it's giving me great joy, as I said, the receptionist at the doctor's office and the doctor and so forth. It's like, it's a very selfish thing. I'm just feeling good about doing it. So I'm not getting excited about it. I'm doing the best I can. And I'm finding, as you heard about the tree, that less is more. What do you hate about Christmas songs? Well, you know something though, Linda, how much did you enjoy the music of the 60s? And I just picked the 60s because all right, let me think. Now, let's be positive on this one, Linda. Let's think, if you really don't like hearing the Christmas carols and the same songs every year, then I would take a Walkman, not a Walkman, what do we have today? An iPhone or whatever you have. The 70s for you, right? If you could listen to the 70s instead of Christmas music, would you be happier? Because if so, take your phone with you, load it up with songs from the 70s, and get your earbuds in and crank it up. You see, you have that technology today that we didn't have, 30 years ago. So, find a mix online somewhere of the best songs of the 70s or whatever it is that you really enjoy, and just stick them in your ears. One of the things I find even doing December is it gets really noisy for me. And this year I'm going to take my headphones with me, not because I'm going to be talking, because I'm not, but I realize that I can cut out a lot of that noise just by wearing my headphones and be able to concentrate better. So it's not what you can't do, Linda. Remember this, right? It's not what you can't do, is what can you do about this situation? And I'm thinking, boy, if I really got upset about listening to the music, and I know it's going to be everywhere at this time of the year, I would load up my phone and take earbuds with me. And just every time I go near a store, I'd stick them in and, play the music. And by the way, people think you're insane because they're busy singing jingle bells and you're busy doing something completely different. But who cares? They don't. you know what I'm saying? So as long as you're not disturbing other people, I don't see that it really matters. Well, Lizzie, thank you so much for all the help you're giving other people. I really, really appreciate it. All right, everybody. So I do need to get out of here, but thank you for your time and your effort. Tonight, we're going to be talking a bit more about the Christmas stuff. So for those of you who are on track with that, because it's all about life, right? And facing those fears, even about Christmas, is very important. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have done so much better on Christmas this year because we did the countdown and because we are doing it. I've really got things in a different order this year, and I want to thank everybody. So big hugs to you all. We will see you this evening. And for the rest of you, enjoy your weekend. Who knows? It could be our last. We might as well enjoy it. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories, for it is in your stories that we help people. Bye-bye for now.